That's right, everybody. Let that love rain down. We need a lot of love here in our world. There ain't much of it, especially if you watch the news. My recommendation, stop watching the news and start loving one another, baby. That's right. That's my friend Carly Ozard, my dear friend Carly Ozard singing Let Love Rain Down. You can listen to her on Spotify or a bunch of other places. You can even buy her music if you're so inclined. Go to carlyozard.com. Wow, what a week. What a week in the world. We still have that war going on in Ukraine. We had our Supreme Court deciding the fate of women and also men who care for ages to come, condemning women to death because of religious fanaticism. I used to be a Catholic. The whole abortion issue is one of the main reasons I'm not a Catholic anymore. I guess, well, according to the Catholic Church, I'm always a Catholic. I was baptized a Catholic, and I have to admit, you know, there's a big part of me that still feels Catholic and that feels like I'm wedded to that institution no matter what I do. And there's a part of me that wishes I could enjoy being Catholic. But there's so much that I don't like about it. I don't like their stance on abortion, which I think is horrible. I don't like how they molest little boys and hide the molesters in various places. Yeah, so often what they do is if a priest is, arrested or accused of molesting a child, they'll go hide him up in some seminary up in the mountains somewhere for years. Oh, what a wonderful thing. And then they're ready to condemn abortion for all reasons, and yet they say nothing about the death penalty. They do nothing to stop the death penalty. I mean, how hypocritical is that? I thought all human beings were worthy of God's love. I don't know. It's just... The thing is, I went to the Santana concert last week to see Santana and Earth, Wind, and Fire. And Carlos Santana just said it. He said, if you listen to the effing music, if you listen to the effing news, all you're going to get is negativity and fear. And he was pissed. He said, music, listen to music, love one another. Ignore that stuff as much as you can. I'm really agreeing with him. What good does it do you, really? It's a bad habit, is all it is. And I have to say, I've taken on to that habit, especially since COVID. I've been listening to a lot of news. I listen to talk radio. I listen to independent news on YouTube, which I agree with, but it constantly gets you riled up. Who needs that? Who needs it? Live your life. We need to enjoy life. I mean, we are here only once, as far as I can tell, unless you're, I don't know, a Buddhist. You're here a bunch of times, but you might not come back as a human. You could come back as a chicken or a grasshopper or a rat or a cockroach. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. I came back as a cucaracha. Boy, that would be fun, huh? What if you came back as a cockroach and someone took a newspaper and smashed you and you died? Then what do you come back as? Lower than a cockroach, or could you come back as a person? These are questions that need to be answered by a guru, and I ain't one. Go find yourself a nice Indian guru, and he'll tell you the answer. True story. They do that. Yeah, so I don't have an interview today. I did do a 2-day interview session with my friend Ed Hooks, who is the go-to person in the world to teach acting technique to animators, and he's a good friend of mine, and he used to live near me, and now he lives in Europe and Portugal, but I have to edit it still, so because we went on and on and on, I need to condense that thing down. So today, what I thought I'd do, and maybe this will be an ongoing thing for those of you who love the bard, Mr. Willie Shakespeare, I thought that I would go through his sonnets one at a time. Isn't that exciting? Well, for me it is. For me it is. And I think it will be for you, too. We're going to have fun. Do you know what Shakespeare's sonnets are? He wrote 154 sonnets. They were published in his quarto in 1609, and they covered all kinds of themes such as the passage of time, mortality, love, beauty, infidelity, and jealousy. The first 126 of Shakespeare's sonnets are addressed to a young man in a very interesting way, in a way that today would be considered probably homosexual. Although I don't know if that's the case back then. There's question about that. Maybe he was homosexual, or maybe he just had just a lot of affection for this young man, and that's how he expressed it, and that was quote-unquote normal. No one's really exactly sure about that. And the last 28 are addressed to a mysterious dark-haired lady. Interesting, huh? That Shakespeare was something else. He lived such a life. You know, he was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, which is now it's like a 2-hour train ride, but that was, a day of travel to London. He married a woman who was much older than him. I think she may have gotten pregnant. I think that's why he married her. I don't think they got along very well. They didn't spend a lot of time together. He spent most of his time in London, and his family stayed in Stratford-upon-Avon. He did return there near the end of his life. I'm assuming he might have been ill or tired. I don't know. But he did so much in his, I think, 53 years. I think that's how long he lived. I wonder how he did it, and I wonder how people from those times could be so productive. That's why there are a lot of people that don't believe that Shakespeare, the man Shakespeare himself, was the actual author of the plays and the sonnets, that he didn't have enough education, he didn't have enough time, he didn't have enough free time. A lot of people claim it had to be somebody from the monarchy. I don't believe that. Everything I've seen, read, heard, and I've done a lot of study. I studied Shakespeare in London for an entire summer. I am 90% sure it was Shakespeare himself. At least I want to believe that. Did you know that they found remnants of marijuana under Shakespeare's home in Stratford-upon-Avon? I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago. So maybe Shakespeare partook in the herb of life. All righty. Okay, so let's dig into this puppy. Sonnet number 1. Yeah. Okay, here we are. So what I think I'll do in sonnet number 1 here is I'll read the sonnet, and then we'll do a little interpretation, because for many of you, and me included often, it's hard to understand on the first go, because, this was poetry from hundreds of years ago. So don't feel bad if it just sounds pretty with my incredible voice, my baritone pipes. All right, sonnet number 1. From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decrease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedest thy lightest flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies, thyself thy foe, to thyself too cruel. Thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring, within thine own bud buryest thy content, and tender churl make waste in niggarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. Ooh. Ominous. Ominous talk. Now, I did say niggarding. That's not the N-word. It's spelled Niggarding, so please, no hate mail. And it doesn't mean anything like the other N-word. Okay. So let's see. From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. So let's look at that. What does that mean? From fairest creatures we desire increase. Okay. That means fairest means beautiful. And creatures are like animals. So from fairest creatures, so from beautiful animals and plants and everything, we desire increase. And what that means is we desire them to multiply, make little babies, plants, and animals. Yes. And that thereby beauty's rose might never die. So that the beauty of creation will not die out. So it just basically says we want all beautiful animals and plants and everything to reproduce like wild things, and so that they never disappear. Cool. Now, here we go. But as the riper should by time decrease, his tender air might bear his memory. But as the riper should by time decrease. What does that mean? What does that mean? I know what that means. So what that means, riper means older. But as the older person, or man probably in that time, should by time decrease, he will eventually die, right? So the older man should by time decrease. So this old man or woman, over time, is going to get older and then decrease and degenerate into dust, basically. He leaves now. His tender air might bear his memory. Well, that's pretty clear. He leaves a young heir to carry his memory. Some younger person to remember him by. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, but you, thou is you. Oh, and by the way, I should have said this earlier, but if you want to read along, go to nosweatshakespeare.com. That's NOSWEAT Shakespeare.com/sonnets, SONNETS/1. There you go, easy. And you can read along with me. Okay. His tender air might bear his memory, but thou contracted to thine own bright eyes. But you, concerned only with your own beautiful eyes, but thou, contracted means concerned. Words had different meanings back then. To your own beauty, your own beautiful eyes. feeds thy lightest flame with self-substantial fuel. Feedest thy lightest flame with self-substantial fuel. What does that mean? Let's see. So, you feed your lightest flame. What could that mean? What could lightest flame mean? I think it just means a bright light with self-substantial fuel. I think it's like you'd only regard yourself, self-substantial fuel. That's all you care about is yourself. So you feed your own face and your own bright eyes with concerns about only yourself. Whoa, I just dropped something. Making a famine where abundance lies. Making a famine where abundance lies. So a famine. So before we were talking about beauty, and now we're talking about famine. So the opposite of beauty. The opposite of beauty. Making a famine where abundance lies. So you had abundance. No, you had abundance, and then this person is purposely bringing it down by their own selfishness. Yikes. And their own, focus on their own flame. Totally selfish. Thyself, thy foe. To thy sweet self too cruel. So yourself, you're your own enemy. You're your own worst enemy. Basically. You're your own worst enemy. To thy sweet self too cruel. What could that mean? To thy sweet... Yeah, so you're your own worst enemy, and to yourself, you are too cruel. Interesting. I thought this person was a complete shallow person, and now it sounds like they're just too cruel. I'm confused. I am so confused. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, then we have, thou art now the world's fresh ornament. So you're the world's most beautiful thing. You're the world's most beautiful thing. And only herald to the gaudy sprang. Okay, let me say that right. Thou art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring. So you are now the world's fresh ornament. Beautiful thing, the most beautiful thing in the world. And only herald to the gaudy spring. So a herald is a messenger, I believe. And let's see. And only herald to the gaudy spring. So, what does this mean? Most beautiful ornament. So you're the messenger of spring. Yeah, you're the messenger of spring. Within thine own bud, buryest thy content. Within thy own bud, buryest thy content. Within thine own, what the heck? Within thine own bud, buryest thy content. What is that? So I guess it means within thine own bud. So within yourself, you're burying content. Your content, your gifts, what you're made of. So you're burying the best parts of yourself in your own self. And tender churl makest waste in niggarding. Ooh, that word sounds... you got to make sure that you pronounce niggarding correctly, or you could be You could go to jail, I think. I'm pretty sure you would. Let's see here. So, and only here, within thine own bed, and tender churl make us waste in niggarding. Niggarding. What does niggarding mean? I forgot. I'm going to check that out. Let's see. Let's see. Niggarding. I think it means wasting. I think that's what it means. Yeah. Pretty sure. So basically, what's being said here is that since you will not reproduce, you are wasting your beauty. Yeah. Wow. I can't believe this. My soundboard just keeps like going up and down. Does anyone want to be my sound producer and work for free? I don't know what's wrong with this thing. I hope I can fix it in post. Oh my God. If anybody out there makes podcasts or anything, or does video, I think that you'll agree with me that the sound is the most difficult and brutal thing about the whole situation. Sound is difficult. Doing sound. Anyway, and tender churl makes waste in niggarding. Yeah, so you're making waste by, not reproducing when you're like the most beautiful creature on earth. I wonder if Shakespeare actually felt that way. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. Whoa. Pity the world, so feel bad for the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due. Oh, I see. So feel bad for the world, or else you, the glutton who devours the world. No. To eat the world, or else this glutton be to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. So it's like, take pity on the world, or maybe this glutton who devours the world and beauty with the grave is just going to take you. And you will have not reproduced and not done your duty with your beauty. Wow, that's quite a scolding sonnet. Sonnet number 1. Maybe Shakespeare was in a bad mood. Oh, here's the 1609 quarto sonnet version. Oh my God. It's in some strange spelling. I'll try to do it with a Shakespearean accent from the time. I think I know it. We have an idea of what it sounds like, so I'll try to do that. From fair fit creatures we desire and crave, that there by beauty's wrath might ne'er die, but as the raper should by time deceive, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedeth thy light's flame with self-substantial swell, making a famine where abundance lies, thyself thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel. Art thou now the world's self-ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring, within thine own bud, barefoot thy content, and tender churl make waft in niggarding. Pity the world, or else his glutton be, to eat the world's due, by the grave and thee. There you go. Hey, I had fun. I hope you had fun. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any requests. I'll take requests about doing things like this. Write to greenroomonair@gmail.com or rayrenati@gmail.com. And I will do my best to make you happy. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for listening. And until next week, I will see you on the boards. Au revoir.